Welcome to the Irishman, Englishman and Scotsman Football Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Irishman, Englishman and Scotsman Football Podcast. It's been a long Premier League season. It's coming to an end. We're hitting the final day. Welcome along, lads.
Good to be here.
Cheers.
Hey, JP.
Good to have you. It's final weekend of the Premier League season. All games kick off at 4 o'clock on a Sunday, UK time, 5 o'clock here. There's only really 5 games that mean anything. So we're going to kind of concentrate on those. Villa against Chelsea. Chelsea have to win this one, I think. You know, they have to, because Leicester could easily beat Tottenham. Liverpool, I think, are nailed on to beat Palace. And, Aston Villa could actually upset Chelsea here. It wouldn't be an impossible task.
No, I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realms of imagination, but I just think that Chelsea they will define their season, whether it's a success or not. And I just feel like Tuchel's a strong-minded enough individual to get his team in the right frame of mind to go out and do a very professional job against Aston Villa and then look forward to the Champions League final.
I think you're right, Finn. I think they'll have absolutely the right approach, but I think there are two quite interesting things going into this, I reckon. Number one, Grealish is back, right? Grealish, obviously, we saw in midweek that they're a much better team with Grealish playing in, aren't they? And I think Kante is doubtful still, or at least I'm not sure if he's doubtful, but it's one of those, he's not fully fit. So does he rest him for the Champions League final? That's a big decision for him to take, and if he gets it wrong, he could mess both of them up, couldn't he?
It would be quite funny, wouldn't it, if John Terry and Villa denied Chelsea that final Champions League place? That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure John Terry will get his face in a picture somewhere, Joe, with the winning or losing team. But I mean, from Chelsea's point of view, if they draw this game and Liverpool and Leicester win and they're pipped for the Champions League place, they were pipped in the FA Cup final, they go into the Champions League final then, it would have been a horror story of a season if they lose that then too. It put a lot of pressure on the players. But yeah, big game. I think we all think Chelsea should win because of the team they have. But Villa have really turned it on this season at times. I mean, I know they, once again, for the last time, Kev, I'll say it, they beat Liverpool 7-1.
And for the last time, I'm going to say 7-2.
Was it 7-2, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
Right. And then, obviously, there's some big results throughout the season. I remember watching them playing against City when City were flying. And, City were very lucky, got a lucky goal. Villa played really well that night. So I think they'll want to go out on a high. They'll be fans of Villa Park. So it's going to be tough for Chelsea. That's the game I'm going to be watching. Next up at Anfield, Liverpool against Palace, also at 4 o'clock. Now, Liverpool have a 4-goal cushion over Leicester, Kevin. Really, Liverpool have been on a fantastic run. Like, everyone thought they were going to get hammered or beaten at Old Trafford. A lot of blips along the way. They've got some really solid results and they've really turned it around. Surely beat Palace here and guarantee Champions League qualification.
I really hope so. It's one of those things we talked about it midweek. They've put together some really good results lately, but without necessarily playing brilliantly. That was probably as about as smooth a performance as you can get in the last one in midweek. That was a potential banana skin, as a lot of them have been. I think it's going to be one of those games where it's about nerve, isn't it? And I'm reminded. I'm going to go all the way back, and I hope I haven't got the details of this wrong. Klopp's first full season, when they went into the last game of the season needing to beat, and I think it was Sunderland, I think. I hope I haven't got this right. I hope it wasn't Middlesbrough. Oh my God, I just can't remember right now. They needed to win that last game to secure Champions League football. And who should pop up in the 45th minute or whatever it was, but Gini Wijnaldum, to steady everyone's nerves, give them the first goal, and they ended up winning 3-0, and the rest, has gone, pretty well under Klopp. But if that had gone differently, then who the hell knows? So we know this is vitally important. I'm absolutely convinced that they can obviously win and that they should obviously win, and results have been going better. So, but I don't dare tip them to win. So I'm going to tip them to be a 0-0.
You look at both Chelsea and Liverpool, and really all they need to do is better Leicester's result against Tottenham. And Liverpool, maybe up until 6-7 home games ago, we would have gone, right, Liverpool at home, banker 3 points. They obviously then had that sticky, I think it was 3 or 4 games where they didn't pick up a point. I just don't think that Crystal Palace have enough to really trouble a Liverpool team that are going after. And again, it goes back to this, like, you've got 90 minutes now just to secure something, and then you're on your holidays. And with Eze going down with quite a horrendous ankle injury and seemingly being out for numerous months, alongside the hammer blow that was Roy Hodgson's departure to the team. By all accounts, the team took those last couple of days really quite difficultly. I just don't think that Liverpool are going to give up anything other than, they're going to get those 3 points and they're going to qualify.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Liverpool have got a fairly decent record against Palace. I think in the Premier League, they've beaten them the last 7 times or something. And Mo Salah's going to want a couple of goals to try and win the Golden Boot. He's level with Harry Kane at the moment. So I can see him, bagging a couple, and then I think this could be a fairly comfortable win.
Yeah, Liverpool normally do beat Palace. Unless there was that FA Cup semi-final, Kevin, might have been around 1990 or 91. I think it was John Salako and 4-3 or something. Man United won the final. Yeah, we'll all agree Liverpool had the banker here against Palace. I mean, but let's talk about this run just briefly. I mean, they've won the last 4, and like Fino said earlier on, they had a patch where they were, not winning at home and losing at home for, I think it was like a 40-year-old record or something. It was crazy. But fair play to Liverpool. They've turned it around. Salah's been among the goals. Just a question I have for you, Kev. I mean, obviously we all, like we said, agree Liverpool will finish 4th here and qualify for the Champions League. But it has been a disappointing season from their point of view, going in as champions, and like you lads would have picked them at the start of the season to win it again. And the players they signed have been fantastic. But will that 4th place, do you think, be enough to keep the bigger names there? Like, would there be, a Salah or a Mane, in your opinion, that'll go, right, that's not enough, I'm off somewhere else?
No, I think if they secure that Champions League place, I don't think there'll be any mad rush for the door. The main thing, obviously, is they need to keep Mo Salah. Like, Mo Salah is absolute top class. On the last day of the season, you've got, him bang up there again with Harry Kane for top scorer, as basically Salah has been every season. He's been there or almost there for leading goal scorer. I think he is a magnificent player. He seems to be a great man. I hope against hope that he stays playing for Liverpool for the rest of his career. He probably won't. Probably an offer will come in that's just too good at some point, and he's not. He has every right to want to go and play somewhere else. But the key for me is keeping hold of him. And I talked about this once before about whether Bobby Firmino would leave, and I don't think he will either. And I think we've just seen in the last couple of weeks with Klopp making him captain, that Klopp sort of seems determined to keep him around as well. I think those are the two. If anyone was to leave, possibly Sadio Mane. But I think now he has something to prove, so maybe we'll see him stay on for another season as well.
Well, it's interesting you talk about Mane, because I know that the internet rumours are that Dortmund are potentially going to take up to 70 million euros of that Jadon Sancho money that's supposedly being sent from Manchester United and putting it towards Sadio Mane. So, I mean, 70 million euros for Mane, given the season that he's had, I think is a really difficult bid to turn down.
I agree. And actually, I wonder if that might put Liverpool in the race for Jadon Sancho even, because, sometimes there's a lot to be said for Part X, with like fewer sort of agent fees and transfer, add-ons and all the rest of it, so maybe there's something in that. But actually, having said all that, I don't even know how good Jadon Sancho is, but yes, he's had a pretty terrible season. He knows it himself. Sadio Mane, so we'll see.
Or maybe speculation, maybe Sancho goes to Man U, and then with Klopp's connection with Dortmund, Mane and a few quid for Haaland to Anfield.
Yeah, it would be. But again, for me, it's the agent thing. I've talked about this before. It drives me a bit mental. The agent he's got, you're looking at, I don't know how many millions of that go into the agent's pocket. What sort of wages that he would demand, given the form that he's been in, I dread to think. And I just don't know if that's going to make him a fit. Liverpool missed out when they didn't sign him, when they signed Minamino. That's when they should have signed Haaland. Absolutely, obviously, they should have moved heaven and earth. We all knew how good he was. Liverpool were only in the Champions League because Haaland was injured for the start of the. He only came on at half time or whatever it was in the first game between Salzburg and Liverpool, where Liverpool raced into a lead and then almost blew it. Haaland was on fire. It's almost unbelievable that Liverpool chose to sign Minamino instead to save a few quid. No, I think they missed a chance. I think he's going to be the premium player, and the wages are going to just put him out of our league.
Right, moving on. Massive game for West Ham, Finno. It's been a great season for West Ham. It would be a shame if they dropped out of European qualification here for the Europa League against Southampton, Joe.
I think I said a couple of weeks ago that I thought Southampton could be West Ham, but then we kind of got thumped by Leeds. I think West Ham have got significantly more to play for in this game, because I think you definitely want to finish 6th and not 7th, don't you? So I think Southampton, I saw that Shea Adams is out injured, which is a real shame, because when we've got him and Danny Ings up front together, then I think we can trouble any team in the league. But I think for this one, wouldn't surprise me if Hasenhüttl plays a couple of the kids. We may even see Jankovic again after he hasn't featured since he got sent off within 30 seconds against Man United on his debut. So I think we may play a slightly weakened side, and I would think West Ham will come all guns blazing and win.
As a West Ham fan and as a Scotland fan, I hope that Che Adams injury is just simply him wrapping himself in cotton wool ahead of the Euros. But yeah, I agree. I think West Ham, they have so much more to play for. They, at times, looked pretty poor against West Brom, I have to say. I think 3-1 definitely flattered us. It really was a bit of a slog against that Big Sam team. But yeah, you're right. It's the first time in Premier League history that we'll have finished above Arsenal. We could finish above Tottenham, and as a West Ham fan, those are teams that you would aspire to be, equals with, if not bettering. And yeah, as I think I said earlier in the week, you definitely want the Europa League. You definitely don't want to be going to Aberdeen or Edinburgh on a Thursday night for the Conference League. But I think West Ham have to be really proud of the league, of the season that they've had, because nobody tipped them. I mean, I tipped them to go down, and I'm a West Ham fan. I slated Aaron Cresswell, and up until I think a few weeks ago, he had the most assists for a defender in the Premier League. It's really been a wonderful season. You wonder how much of that is based around the fans not being there. All the West Ham players can hold their heads up high if they manage to get the 3 points, or just the point actually that they do need against Southampton and secure Europa League football.
What's so bad about Edinburgh on a Thursday night, Finno?
It's just not where West Ham fans want to be going. They want to be, I think I said that earlier in the week, is, when we were further up the table, which is surprising to say when we're currently, in the Europa League spots, we were thinking about Real Madrid and Juventus coming to the London Stadium, and, Hibs and Aberdeen don't have quite the same ring to it, and I don't think they'll sell quite the same number of tickets.
I mean, you could see your own team playing in your own backyard. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, I'll go for West Ham on this one. I think they deserve something from the season, and David Moyes does as well. I mean, at the start, they were terrible. I remember that opening game against Newcastle, and they've really turned it around, and he's made some shrewd buys. Jesse Lingard is up there, I think, with Joe Willock as the January signing of the season. Now, Man City against Everton. Man City, of course, already crowned champions. They do have that Champions League final coming up. Everton need to win this game to have any hope of Europa League qualification. Man City, this is the final game of the season, trophy presentation. There will be fans at the Etihad. You can't really play the second team. I'm sure Aguero is going to play, and I hope he scores, in his final game before he goes. We'll come to him in a second. But, I think if it wasn't, if City had won it a long time ago and there was no Champions League final, I think Everton might have had a chance here. But, I think Everton are going to fall short.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out. So Everton need Leicester to beat Tottenham quite convincingly, don't they? And then beat Man City. I think it's a pretty tall order, isn't it? I just don't see Everton beating Man City. We've seen whatever team Man City put out, they can be too strong for anyone. And we saw with, Ferran Torres, who is, not a consistent starter when he comes into the team. He scored an amazing hat-trick. So they've just got so much so much quality and so much strength in depth. I think they'll see this as a big celebration, kind of in front of their fans to lift the league title, and I think they'll want to go out with a win for sure, and I think they will.
I wholeheartedly agree, Joe. The only thing that I'll say, and I'll say it before Kevin does, is that Everton are away from home, and they seem to be considerably more formidable away from home than they are at home this season. I think Man City, clearly the best team in the league by a fair mile this season over the course of it, and Trophy Day is always an exciting day, and the fact that they're able to do it in front of their fans, all the romanticism around Aguero, there's no doubt going to be some sort of homage to him and the 93rd minute and 22nd goal that he scored, I think, 9 years ago. It all kind of just seems like it's going to be Man City's day, and who can really blame them?
The only glimmer of hope I'd give to Everton fans is that Man City have conceded a lot of goals in the last two games against Newcastle and Brighton. And, is there a little bit of extra pressure on them to get the result because it's, Aguero's last game? They're at home. They're going to, hold up the trophy. The fans are back in the stadium. That could work both ways. But I think, the smart money obviously is on Man City. And, that brings us to the end of the season. And the end of the season is always a sad time when you say goodbye to coaches and players who are leaving. I think the main one obviously is Sergio Aguero. I mean, what a servant he's been. That everyone will go back to that goal against QPR. I remember being in the pub. The Man United fans were screaming they had the league, and then, bang, Aguero scores that goal, and it was fantastic. Where is he going next, Kev? Barcelona?
Yeah, it does seem more and more likely, doesn't it? And there's been a lot of talk just in the papers in Spain, where I was up until a few days ago, about how he's even prepared to take quite a big salary cut to do it as well. So it sort of almost feels like a bit of a Luis Suarez situation, where he just really wanted to go. He had just had somewhere in mind, and he was prepared to do anything to make it happen. Look, I don't know. We can't see inside his head, and anything. He might get a mega offer, but I think it just feels like, if he's prepared to take the sort of money that Barcelona can pay, which is obviously they can't compete given their financial situation and given their other commitments over some of the other sides. But if that's where his heart is, then that's where his heart is, and there'll be nothing that'll stop him going there. And actually, I suspect he'd do sort of quite well. I think I could see him. I don't think he's going to tear the league to shreds or anything like that. But he's been a great player. I'm a big fan of Aguero. I think he's a really lovely player, and I think he's been a terrific buy for them. And I think I hope it is like an emotional moment tomorrow. And if Barcelona is where he wants to go, then I hope he has a really good 2 or 3 years there.
Yeah, I think there's already the discussions around the Premier League Hall of Fame. I think Sergio Aguero definitely is a rightful entrant into that. But Kev, spending a lot of time in Spain, do you think that Aguero is the kind of signing that will give them the 7 or 8 points that they need a season to overturn, Atletico Madrid or Real Madrid at the moment?
I think I'd love to be able to answer that properly, but the thing is, with Barcelona, I think we're going to see one of the mother of all rebuilding jobs going on over the summer. I think we're going to see 10 players shipped by Barcelona. We're going to see a new coach. We're going to see a new broom come in. Laporta, since he won it sounds like re-election, sounds like he was the former. This is X number of years on from his first spell, but he's kept his powder dry, as it were. And I think what we're going to see is such a massive amount of changes that who the hell knows? I mean, honestly, no one could predict what the starting 11 would be for Barcelona next year. I don't think anyone, including anyone at Barcelona, has the faintest idea what 1 to 11 looks like next year. But I think he could give them something. I think they are looking at him as a sort of, Luis Suarez-esque signing. They're looking at someone who can come in and just, provide that bit of experience, bit of class, to get them to score, maybe even score some of the simpler goals, if you see what I mean. They're such a complicated team, Barcelona, so who the hell knows right now? Good question, though.
Just staying with Barcelona for a second, Kevin, you mentioned Suarez there, and that was actually, on the tip of my tongue. Suarez went over there from the Premier League, succeeded. Aguero, you'd hope for his sake, if he does go there, would do the same. But do you think Barcelona are really regretting let Suarez go to a rival like Atletico. I think it was crazy.
It was insanity, and I don't know the ins and outs of it, I'm always at pains to say. I think Barcelona are still paying some of his wages as well, and that is the most galling thing, isn't it? You know, when effectively you're paying one of your rivals to win the league. No, it was astonishingly bad decision, born, I'm sure, out of some kind of financial necessity to move something off the wage bill. But no, I mean, you underestimate a player like Luis Suarez at your peril. You know, he's I was talking to a load of Liverpool fans, and I think mostly unanimously Liverpool fans were like, "Oh no, we shouldn't sign him, or we shouldn't, try and re-sign him because of his age and because, yeah, all right, maybe at the absolute highest level, the absolute pinnacle Champions League games or whatever, he might not be the player anymore, to score you a couple of goals and win you that game, but he's going to score a shit ton of goals." Just in his day-to-day, because he's so tenacious, and as we all know, he will do absolutely anything to get among the goals.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in the summer, because as we've talked about there with Aguero, he is leaving Man City. There's obviously the rumours about Wijnaldum potentially going to Barcelona or leaving Liverpool at least. We've seen David Silva go to Spain as well. It does start to feel like La Liga is the place for those aging Premier League players to basically top up the pension a little bit. You might see that with someone like Juan Mata as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just wanted to add, I was just looking at Marca before we started this podcast, and it's interesting that they're saying that Man United are going to be in for Cristiano Ronaldo, and that they you can never trust the headlines in the first paragraph, but they reckon that United have offered him a contract.
Well, it's not all that bonkers. I mean, these days players really do look after themselves into the late on their career, and look at the impact that Edison Cavani has had. I mean, his awareness and the amount of goals he's created and scored. So I wouldn't be surprised. Plus, if you're the Chiefs of Man United and you're all about shirt sales, Ronaldo, it's going to go through the bloody roof. Staying with goal scorers, lads, the Golden Boot is up for grabs. It's neck and neck. It's Harry Kane on 22 goals and Mo Salah on 22 goals. Harry Kane actually has 13 assists this season compared to Salah's 4. But I mean, judging if you're looking at that Palace defense, like Finno said earlier on, they're missing players, they're forward players. With that puts pressure on the defense to Leicester's defense, who I thought were brilliant in the FA Cup final. Surely Mo Salah is nailed on for this.
I would believe so. I mean, the thing is that obviously these could, either Kane or Salah could pull a hamstring in the first 30 seconds and then your prediction goes out the window. What I thought was really interesting, and I do think that Salah will probably end up getting the Golden Boot. When I was going through the list of players, Kelechi Iheanacho has basically scored, I think, a goal basically every game in terms of his minutes per goal. And for someone who isn't always, first string, he's not playing ahead of Vardy. I do wonder whether or not a team might take a punt on him, because if he's producing that level of goal scoring consistently, it's quite impressive. It's only 12 goals, but if you can do it over the course of a season, that's definitely going to help somebody, like a Man United potentially get over the line.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I'm terrible at predictions, as you all know, and I don't know. The only thing I'd say is I've seen Salah kind of seize up a little bit in these games, in the last couple of games per season, when he's trying to secure a Golden Boot. I've seen him not turn in his best performances. He's been really slick, these last few weeks. He's been really on song. I actually hope that he's not thinking about that at all. I hope that Liverpool, in the latest contract that he's had, took out any kind of bonus for being Golden Boot winner. Because I think it plays on his mind a little bit. So I hope that's gone. I hope he's barely even thinking about it. That what Liverpool should do is they should pay him extra for not winning it, because somehow he has to get it out of his mind. I don't want him sort of, thinking about this. Liverpool just need to win. They don't need to be distracted by something like that. And it'd be terrible if Liverpool 1-0 up and I don't know, a penalty and or whatever, or they try and tee it up for him to score, thinking about that, and then somehow balls it up and end up drawing, 1-1 instead. That would be terrible.
For me, Kevy has been a shining light, though, in a dark season for Liverpool. Like, there's so many games that he pulled you out of the wire there. Just some brilliant finishes when he's surrounded by the likes of, Jota and Firmino and Mane. These world-class strikers who just were not firing. I mean, when the midfield wasn't playing, Salah was the one all season. So, I think he deserves it. Finno.
On the flip side, though, Kane could be his last game for Tottenham. You talk about people trying to tee up goals for their main man. You could definitely see the Tottenham team trying to get Kane, one of the only trophies that he will get at Tottenham, whether he stays or goes. So yeah, who knows? It'll be interesting. It's a nice little subplot to the Sunday games.
Low blow there, Tottenham fans from Finno. But in fairness to Harry Kane, him and Song earlier on in the season, we were going on about how good they were and the best partnership possibly ever in the Premier League. 13 assists plus his 22 goals. That's really impressive. And I do agree with what Roy Keane said way back, is that he needs to go somewhere bigger. He does, because, to do himself justice, it's like Shearer with Southampton and then to Blackburn to win the league. And, you just have to make that move, basically. And I think he does. Managers that are leaving, Roy Hodgson, obviously, in this Palace-Liverpool game, will be his last. He's made Palace a force. I have to say, though, and I'm sure you'll agree, lads, they were horrible to watch for most of the season. Horrible to play against, horrible to watch. Joe?
Well, I think, yes, at times they were horrible to watch, but they still, because they had the players like Eze and Zaha, they still had moments of amazing quality and excitement within the games. And I think he's done a fantastic job at Palace. They've been kind of mid-table secure, haven't they? Kind of always safe with about 10 games to go for the last 3 or 4 seasons. And I think he's done a wonderful job. And I said this earlier in the week, I do worry for Palace next year. Sometimes, we saw it with Palace in the past when they got rid of, I can't remember if it was Allardyce or Pulis or whatever, and brought in De Boer. And then they lost the first 10 games in a row or whatever. It's very difficult to go from one very, very set way of playing to another one very quickly. So I think it's definitely going to be interesting what happens with Palace next year. And it will be strange to not see Roy Hodgson in the Premier League, because he seems to have been there for so long.
Yeah, and of course, Nuno Espirito Santo is leaving Wolves as well. Disappointing season for Wolves. They're going to finish in the bottom half. Nobody would have predicted that.
Yeah, look, I think that was a bit of a shock, and I do wonder whether or not there's been, interest from elsewhere. But look, he's done a phenomenal job with, the little Portugal that is Wolves, and he's taken them on some phenomenal European runs and things like that. So he probably leaves with most Wolves' fans' best wishes, but 4 years is a long time in modern football, and maybe it was just time to go. Maybe it just had grown a little stale, and the dressing room were getting a little bored of, the training sessions or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes, because there's probably going to be no short list of suitors available for him.
Yeah, Wolves basically just weren't on song this season. Speaking of on song, what have you got for us this week, Kev?
Okay, I've got a quick one for you called Last Chance to See. How long has it been? It sure felt like forever, but 10,000 voices all singing together means a season that might have been played on Nintendo can end with a thunderous real-life crescendo. But yes, we've all made it. The end is upon us, and I'm all rhymed out if I'm totally honest. But while there's still Hendrix for my fever tree, it inspired me to preview One Last Chance to See. One last chance to see the immense Kun Aguero, attacker sublime for un caballero. He's leaving Man City, but they'll not be strangers, not after that goal against Queen's Park Rangers. Last chance to see Leicester's Christian Fuchs. He, James and Morgan are slinging their ooks. And just one more look at Espirito Santo, whose name rhymes with everything in Esperanto. I told you my juices are stewing, not flowing, but I'm genuinely sad to see old Nuno going. Last chance to see Harry Kane play for Spurs. I guess we'll see which Manchester he prefers. He's singing the praises of Kevin De Bruyne, but maybe United's a nice little earner. If you wonder why Harry is getting so twitchy, why the feet in those phantom elites are so itchy, it's because Spurs are facing a race to claim 7th after losing to Villa, stuck down in 11th. Sad to say bye to Gini Wijnaldum, the Quicksilver Dutchman, the midfield amalgam of drive on the ball and the habit of scoring when the pressure was on, the adrenaline pouring. Speaking of Liverpool, just one more win. The Palace would see Jurgen's boys in like Flynn. Can't say they deserve it, but I would quite enjoy a comeback complete against old Mr. Roy Hodgson, whose tenure at Liverpool sucked and ended with everything basically fucked. It seems to heap praise on him is a requirement. Don't know about that, but enjoy your retirement. And enjoy the last games of a crazy-ass season with plenty of rhyme, but almost no reason. And check back next week for an extravaganza of mangled analysis in each last stanza. I promise, no swear words, although they amuse me. Love from your poet. And see you next Tuesday.
Brilliant stuff, Kevin. Thanks a lot, lads.
Cheers.
This has been the Irishman, Englishman, and Scotsman Football Podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, click that subscribe button and, of course, the like button. We'll be back again next Tuesday for our season review, where we pick our teams of the season also. Enjoy the games, folks. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to hear more of our podcasts, please click on the red subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side. Thank you.